Imagine having access to data that will help you make more sales, get more leads, be more profitable, and provide a clear path to help you scale your business. Get more information from Praxis Metrics, a company dedicated to helping you do all of that and more. Go to praxismetrics.com/nice guys to connect with a data expert who will uncover some key areas for you to focus on to help you build your business. I've interviewed the founders of Praxis Metrics, AJ Yeager and Megan Connell, and they know data and they know business. Data is knowledge, knowledge is power, so data is power. Get your free consultation and build, scale, and power your business by understanding what data can do for you. praxismetrics.com/nice guys.
Here's what you get with this episode of the Nice Guys on Business.
If you want to get the equivalent of a mental facelift, just start a new project in a new technology. I mean, earlier you asked about how technology's changed. The technology that we have today is making this possible.
The Nice Guys on Business are putting the band back together. They're on a mission from God. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
First, let me say that no one can really strut in the bathrobe or walk any better than Michael Houlihan. Well, JJ and I were invited to spend the weekend with Michael Houlihan and Bonnie Harvey in their beautiful home in the wine country in Northern California. And we did spend a lot of time talking business, but we spent most of our time talking really about life, about goals, about plans for the future. And at that time, JJ and I discovered a project that they were working on called Business Audio Theater. Now, I didn't know what Business Audio Theater was. I could think about what it was, but I wasn't 100% sure. So Business Audio Theater gives people a full-color audio cinematography of scenes performed by real Hollywood actors, guys like Ed Asner, and with music, sound effects, and more. And as you know, this is probably going to be the next best thing in business audio. I'm excited to have Michael and Bonnie back on the Nice Guys on Business. Just a little bit about them. They're the founders of Barefoot Wine, America's #1 wine brand. Their New York Times best-selling business book, The Barefoot Spirit, is now required reading in more than 50 schools on entrepreneurship. They're thought leaders in entrepreneurship, workshop leaders, speakers, bloggers, writers, consultants, regular media guests. But more importantly, they're Doug and JJ's friends. I love having both of them back here on the Nice Guys on Business. Welcome back to the show, Michael and Bonnie.
Well, thank you, Doug. We're very happy to be with you again.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Love it. And what was great when you first connected, and if you want a bonus feature of this Nice Guy community, this is going to be on our website as well. We're going to have to try to figure out how to put video on our website, but I'm sure Strickland and the magical team behind the scenes can make that work. So go over to what is my website? niceguysonbusiness.com.
That's it.
That's it. And just check out the video version of this. We'll put it in the blog section so that you see it. We'll put a link in the show notes for that. So I want to start here because we were talking all about, I would say, how come you guys just aren't relaxing? you guys sold for some ridiculous number to was it Ernest and Julio Gallo? Was that who bought Barefoot Wines?
Yeah.
So it was E&J Gallo Family Wines, the company that purchased it. Yes.
So you sold out, and did you take any time to relax, or did you just go back into business mode and start working on the next project?
We took a month off and we went to Chile, and we hung out with our friends who are grape growers in Chile down in Region 7 called the Mole Valley. And we partied with them almost for a month. Mm-hmm. And then we got bored and we said, okay, let's go back to it.
Let's get back to it. So wherein lies your passion? You have so many things that you do, and I know entrepreneurship is one of those things that's high on your list, and teaching others how to kind of do what you've done, although I don't know how you duplicate the success that you guys have had. So what is it that you have been up to?
Well, we are trying to take the principles that we learned getting our butts kicked in the real world, and we're trying to hand those off to especially young people in their 20s and 30s who are thinking about being entrepreneurs, or they are entrepreneurs and they're expanding their businesses. And we're trying to help them understand these principles, which, by the way, are contrary to popularly held misconceptions. So if we can blow those misconceptions up and hit them with the straight facts and do it in a way that they appreciate, that they find entertaining, that they can remember and apply, then we've done our job. I mean, that's our passion. We love young people.
So Bonnie, going back to when you guys first started with Barefoot, there's been so many changes in the way business is run. You know, first of all, the internet came to be since the time that you started Barefoot, and all of these things are brand new from a millennial's perspective. You know, they don't know the old school ways. So in your opinion, what's some of the stuff that has changed? And then Michael, I want to ask you some of the stuff that hasn't changed.
There's been an enormous amount that has changed. But really, that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the stuff that hasn't changed.
All right.
You know, you kind of put me in a spot there, but we're teaching soft skills, and that doesn't seem to be a very popular subject these days. So many people feel that there's so much more to learning and to business than soft skills. But the reality is, if you don't build good relationships with everyone who touches your product or your service, then you're not going to be successful. So that's what it is that Michael and I are sharing, and we're trying to bring back soft skills. We say soft skills earn hard cash.
Yeah, it's interesting. You put me right back in my place where I should be. Sometimes I throw a question that I'm like, well, that's going to be a tough one to answer, because really the important thing is what hasn't changed. And what hasn't changed, you're right. You know, I wrote a book called Nice Guys Finish First, and it was all about those 5 basic skills of returning your phone calls, being on time for meetings, stop over promising and under delivering, even just reaching out and connecting with people that you haven't spoken to in a long time. I mean, those are the things that really is the basis of any successful business, no matter what day or era that you live in. Absolutely.
And because it's kind of gone by the wayside, we're trying to bring that back. We even have events here at our home in the beautiful Sonoma County wine country, and we'll walk you around and talk about nature and talk about soft skills and how you can create a relationship with your staff to keep them there, how you can create a relationship with your vendors and your buyers instead of borrowing money from the bank or getting an investor and losing part of the ownership of your company, and lots of other things. So there's nothing in business that you could ever want to do that if you use soft skills, it won't help you out.
Totally agree with that. So, Michael, let me ask you a question just about the start of this new business audio theater. And was this something that you and Bonnie just sat, just like you did with the logo, and just come up with the Barefoot logo? Did you work on that together? Was this something that Bonnie brought to you and said, hey, I want to run with this idea? Something that you went to Bonnie and said, hey, I think I got something, a fakakta idea, as we say in Yiddish, a little crazy idea. But, the best laid businesses are started with an idea. A crazy idea sometimes.
Well, the actual progression was that we built the business up. We sold the business. After we sold the business, we went on our 1-month vacation to Chile. Our friends, the people that work with us, our vendors, our suppliers, our staff, our buyers, everybody that we touched said, you guys have got to write a book that deals with the Barefoot Spirit, the spirit behind the brand. And so we finally broke down. We wrote the book. We didn't like it. We threw it in the garbage. We found Rick Cushman. He wrote the book for us. One of the first lessons of entrepreneurship is know what you can't do.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Let the experts do it. So we did. And he wrote a beautiful book. And when he wrote the book, we said, we want it to be kind of cinematic. We want to show scenes in the book. We don't want to just have it be a prescriptive list of do's and don'ts. And so he wrote this really incredible book, with all these stories. And so then it became a New York Times bestseller. And then we went on the speaking tour, lasted about 4 or 5 years. And we spoke at over 60 schools that teach entrepreneurship, started bringing people in from places like Moscow and Singapore. And then we started to realize that nobody had really read more than the first 2 chapters of the book.
Right.
They said they did. And then we started to realize that, as time was going by in the last 4 years, more and more people were showing up with buds in their ears. Mm-hmm. And so, what do we know, right? A couple of boomers, we said, oh, well, are you listening to rap or is it hip hop? What are you doing, And they said, oh, no, we're listening to War and Peace. Or, no, I'm listening to a podcast on how to start your business. And so we started to go, wow, that's interesting. So these people are shifting away from the written word, and even the ebook, because the ebook and the written word, they immobilize you. And they've gone to a more mobile society where they want to listen while they're commuting or they want to listen while they're jogging. So we thought, well, let's do an audiobook. But, Bonnie and Michael aren't going to do anything normal, right?
Right.
So we said, okay,
It's gotta be fun.
So let's get some audiobooks and listen to them. So we did. We started listening to them. And they were pretty single dimensional. They were just being read to you by a narrator. And groups like Audible, they would hire narrators for you and stuff. And you could even get a movie star to narrate your book. Well, that's narration. But then we started to take long drives on these trips that we were on. We listened to PBS all the time. And we listened to Guy Noir, Private Detective, on Prairie Home Companion,
Yep.
And it was acted out by actors and actresses with sound effects and musical score. And we said, this is fun. This stuff is really fun. Why can't we take our book and put it in a scripted form with scenes and sound effects and a musical score and really do this in a dramatic type setting? And we checked it out, and it hadn't been done for business books before. It had been done for fiction, but not really for business books, where the purpose of the book was to demonstrate a business principle by action that takes place in an office or, in a buyer's location or in a store or a parking lot or driving with somebody. Those are the kinds of places where these audio relationships happen. So that's how we got started on it. It was crazy.
It's an amazing story. And what I want to do is I'm going to do something a little different. We've never done this on the Nice Guys on Business, but I'm going to actually play a couple of audio clips. I'm going to ask you a question, and then Bonnie, you have an answer about how you came up with the logo. But I want to actually do an audio clip directly from the book. So I'm gonna do. Let's see. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share my computer audio. I think I've done all of that correctly. So it's Business Audio Theater is the name of the company or the idea. The Barefoot Spirit is the name of the book. And if I were to ask a question to Bonnie, Nice Guy Community, for example, how did you come up with the logo for Barefoot Wines? Yeah, she could give me the answer, and it would be a good answer. But she's probably given that answer 5,000 times before. So she's actually written the book. So let's listen to what the actors and actresses that play the part have to say about that. So here we go. This is how Bonnie and Michael came up with the birth of a foot, the logo for Barefoot Wines. Here we go.
She needed to make it solid. She needed Michael to draw it, and she needed this to happen fast. That's why she was almost vibrating to get it out, and why she hustled a half-asleep Michael to the little green chalkboard in the kitchen.
I know what the label looks like. This is going to be a big success. I could see it stacked in supermarkets. This is going to sell a lot of wine.
Michael picked up the chalk and started to draw.
Quick, draw a foot.
What kind of foot?
A nice foot. Just draw it.
Michael sketched a slim right foot along the bottom of the chalkboard.
No, stand it up.
He erased it and drew one with the heel at the bottom and the toes straight up.
Close. Tilt it to the right.
He erased and drew again.
No, more tilt. Just a little. Make it look like there's some motion. It's like someone is stepping up.
Bonnie's voice was getting louder. She was talking faster, feeling like this was even more urgent. Her panic was growing. They could not lose this idea.
Is that it?
By now, the chalkboard had a layer of white dust from all the erased chalk.
Really close. The foot should look like an exclamation point, an italicized exclamation point. And give it a little more arch.
It got more tilt. It got more arch.
How's that?
Now write barefoot.
Michael put down barefoot next to the angled drawing.
Closer. Move it closer. Put the T all the way inside the arch.
Bonnie stopped bouncing and looked at it. The board was nearly white. The air was filled with chalk dust. They stood silently, surrounded by their intensity. Both were taking big breaths. Bonnie's fear had dissipated. They looked at a slim right foot, pointing up at a 2 o'clock angle, acting as an exclamation point for the barefoot written into the arch. They both thought it was good, but they had no idea that in not much more than a decade, It would become an iconic national label.
There. That's what the label looks like. That's gonna sell a lot of wine.
Very, very cool. I mean, it is just like I am at the theater or listening to a book or but it's done in, well, you just heard it. Everybody, Nice Guy community, you just heard it. It's done with theatrics. It's done with music. It's done with sound effects. It's done with actors playing Michael and Bonnie. Well, how come you guys didn't play yourselves?
Well,
we're not professional actors. We have to go back to do what you do best and leave everything else to the rest,
So we do something interesting at this book is 7 hours long, but it's broken down into 40-minute chapters. And at the end of every chapter of various different scenes, there is kind of like a live podcast with the real Michael and Bonnie.
And the author, Rick
Cushman. So Rick Cushman sits us down and says, hey, Michael and Bonnie, when this happened, what were you guys thinking? Were you out of your minds? Did you really think this was going to work? And so we have a chance to respond to the action. So those are nice. They're called Conversations with Michael and Bonnie, and they kind of punctuate each chapter.
And that was done in our own voices.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. And the theater of the mind is something that is incredible. And the idea of putting together an audiobook that is a business audiobook, there's probably some that are out there, but I have not heard or seen anything done to this degree. So no. Where did you kind of, was it just out of hey, this is a white space that really needs to be covered? Tell me a little bit more about the concept, how you even came up with the concept.
Well, we'd met some people in Southern California. Ryan Folan, he's
I know Ryan. He was a guest on the Nice Guys.
Communications expert at UCI in Irvine, and he was talking to us about getting our message out there, because it's really important that we share the lessons that we learned, because they were painful. They were costly, they were stressful. And he said, well, you can get the message out there to a greater number of people if you put your story in audio. And he explained to us why, because more people are listening to the buzz, etc. And we thought, well, this is what we want to do then. We want to give them edutainment, education and entertainment at the same time. And he knew some other people that we were introduced to, which were the Sherwood Players, a great group of people. And it just went from there. It kind of fell into place. And we were very pleased that we could find a group of people that were so easy and professional to work with. Yes.
So from a production perspective, I'm assuming you had to bring in an entire team. This is not something that you guys have is in your expertise. So what was that like, developing a new idea? How does it feel when you go back from being on the top of the playing field, the number one team in the wine world, to being nobody and nothing, and nobody knows you in this side, and maybe stumbling through an idea? Are you okay for that humbling experience? Because that's a challenge for any entrepreneur.
We've been there before.
Yes.
It's not a new road.
It's rejuvenating. I mean. If you want to get the equivalent of a mental facelift, just start a new project in a new technology. I mean, earlier you asked about how technology's changed. The technology that we have today is making this possible. From a production standpoint, you don't really get all the actors in the room. What you do is you record different parts, and then it becomes an editing, challenge. And editing is really huge, and finding the right music. And of course, you don't want to license any music, so you have to actually create your own original score.
Wow!
And so the Barefoot Spirit has its own original score. So to find all these people would be impossible for us. We were very fortunate to run into to Matt Wineglass, of all things, like a name like Wineglass.
That's very true.
So I got Matt Wineglass, I got Sheikman, I mean, I got it all. And so we wind up working with these guys, and it takes about a year to get it all done. And there's a lot of back and forth. And Bonnie does a lot of the editing herself. And I mean, you don't just edit audio. You got to say, here's the timestamp from here to here. I hear a click, or whatever. So it was an education for us just putting it together.
So what's interesting, one of the questions that we're going to answer in this next clip, number one, I guess you'll all recognize the voice of Ed Asner. He's playing one of the buyers, or he's a player in one of the scenes. It's interesting because the question that is answered in this is, what's the biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make? And it's really in falling in love with the products or services that they have. So where do you think, and obviously we all hope that success is one of those things, but I can also see the passion that is within within yourselves about this particular project. I mean, you've been talking about it well before we were introduced to this concept last year or earlier in this year when you talked to us about it. What happens if this is not something that makes a good go of it? You've invested all this time, energy, and effort. What good is coming from this in addition to the new stuff that you're just putting out there to the market?
It will be available to a lot of people in a lot of different areas. It will be available to people at the universities that are studying entrepreneurship. It'll be available to your audience and other podcast audiences. The more people that we can reach, the more people we can help succeed faster.
Right.
And first of all, Michael and I are interested in doing an excellent job. And we did, with the help of the Sherwood players.
Sure.
And with the help of Rick Cushman's writing from the original book. So we're happy to know that we have created a wonderful audio book that's going to help a lot of people out.
Right.
It'll go out to the universities where we've spoken before, and to anyone who is starting a business, any friends out there or family that's starting a business or wants to start a business, this is really a heads up on that. So we've created an excellent product. And now we want to offer that to other people that also want to tell their story. Everyone has a story to tell or to leave their family history. So we have the excellent production crew, and we know how it's done. So, and we've got great actors. So now we have a product that we could offer other people. And I know that there's a lot of people out there in your audience and elsewhere that have a story to tell that maybe they'll consider putting it into an audiobook like we did.
I'm excited to hear feedback from our community about the idea, especially if they've already written a book, and to hear that book actually put into a theatrical, excerpt from what the book is all about, and share it as something that they have never done before, I'm sure. Nice Guy community, just so you're aware, the book, The Barefoot Spirit, is going to be available to you as well in this format. Is your book complete? Have you finished your version of your business audio theater?
Oh yeah, it's for sale. It's on all of the platforms, Audible, Google, all of them. It's available through our website at www.thebarefootspirit.com or barefootaudiobook.com.
Great.
So yeah, it's made widely available. We hope that, in fact, if you go to barefootaudiobook.com, there's a bunch of free clips from the book you can listen to, just to see if it doesn't pique your curiosity to want to hear the whole book.
Absolutely. And we'll put a link in the show notes so that you have access to a 20% off discount for that. And it's a special one that the Nice Guys and other podcasters have been given just to promote the book. So make sure you check out the link in the show notes so that you can get the discount off of the book. Let's play this clip from Ed Asner answering the question about entrepreneurship and falling in love with your own product. So here we go. This is Ed Asner doing a clip of the Barefoot Spirit. Let's make sure that I hit that button right. Let's see if I did it.
Yeah, Houlihan, what do you want?
Michael put a bottle of Barefoot Cabernet and one of the Sauvignon Blanc on Brown's desk.
We bottled the wine and want you to see it.
Brown picked up the bottle of red and looked it up and down. Then he did the same with the white.
This is what you asked for. There aren't any leaps or hills or rivers. It's a label she can read from 4 feet away. The logo is the same as the name. It's in plain English and easy to pronounce. It's a name she'll remember and a logo she won't forget.
Michael was proud of what they'd done, in the way of a student with a good report card. Barefoot was unique, interesting, and fit everything that Brown and the others said would sell. The wine, he knew, was terrific. The label was friendly and fun. What's not to love, he thought. Brown kept looking at the bottles. He didn't say anything. The silence was uncomfortable, but Michael sat quietly. Brown looked at the bottles again, but said nothing. Michael figured it was just Don Brown being Don Brown, make everyone sweat.
So, Don, how many truckloads do you want?
Brown put the bottle down at his desk and looked at Michael like he was from Mars. Michael couldn't have gotten a worse look from Brown if he had clucked.
Are you crazy? I can't buy this. Nobody knows this brand. Nobody's ever seen or heard of Barefoot.
It's everything you asked for.
Yeah? So what? That doesn't matter. No one's gonna buy something they never heard of. You gotta advertise it. If you're willing to spend $1 million on TV ads, I'll buy it from you.
We don't have that kind of advertising budget.
In truth, they had no advertising budget. There wasn't $100 for ads.
Then you gotta go make a name for yourself. You gotta go sell it to every mom and pop store in every corner till everyone knows what Barefoot is.
Michael felt like he just got hit by a brick.
That'll take years.
Well, Houlihan, you better get started.
Nice. I love that. So, in how much of what is in the book is theatrics, and how much of it is the reality of what you guys actually went through? I mean, listening to that, thinking
through all of that.
Oh, yeah.
right.
This is real stories about building a business. Everything in the book, which is everything in the audio book as well, really happened.
Yeah, and we cleaned up a lot of the language.
Oh yeah.
And there's no negativity in the book. Okay, but we want to play it nicey nice, because our goal is not to complain. Our goal is to educate.
I want to play one more clip. This is a good one because in reading the book as I did before we got together up in at your home, and I was really captivated by this story of the thunderstorm. And I think that if this is the thunderstorm excerpt that I'm remembering from the book, it's where you're outside of the store. Is that correct? And it's about to downpour. Is that something that's
it is?
This is about what you as a business owner have to do to be successful, and it's not always what you think it is.
All right, so let's play this audio clip as well. This is from the Barefoot Spirit. Here we go.
Michael Houlihan drove to the far end of the Piggly Wiggly parking lot in Columbia, South Carolina. That's what he did in every parking lot, and it's what all good salespeople do. Park as far away as they can. The spots by the door are for customers. Store managers noticed the courtesy. It was mid-May. The sky loomed thick and close, a dark, steely, greenish gray. Michael didn't so much see the clouds as feel them, hot, heavy, and steamy. It was the kind of day that discourages movement. Ah, spring in the American South. Michael is a tall man, 6'2", a bit gangly, with reddish hair and an air that says he spent some time on a surfboard. He was wearing a dark suit, carrying Barefoot wine samples in a bag over his shoulder, and holding a large foam core sign with a 5-foot-tall purple foot. This was not a guy they saw every day at the Piggly Wiggly. When Michael had driven up, a dark-haired teenager was collecting stray shopping carts and wheeling them back to the store. By the time Michael started lugging his wine and sign across the 30-yard lot, the kid had abandoned his carts and was sprinting for the supermarket door.
Hey, buddy, you better run!
Say what? Run?
Michael looked left and right. All he saw were parked cars. Did he hear the kid right? Then, boom! The thunderclap almost knocked him over. Michael felt it in his spine.
Whoa! What was that?
He stood there, shaking it off. Maybe 5 seconds later, it began to rain. Not gentle, soothing, wimpy spring rain like he knew in Northern California. This was rain from a fire hose or a falling river. Buckets and buckets in seconds. Drops that fell like walnuts.
Got it.
In seconds, his suit was soaked. His tie was soaked. His shoes and socks and pockets filled with water. He started running for the store. Then came the wind. Huge, uneven blasts blowing hard from the left, then hard from the right. Michael's sign turned into a sail. It yanked him west halfway across the parking lot. Then it pulled him east. Then another gust pulled him west again. He was hanging on, figuring if he let go, the sign would land in Georgia. Left, right, lurch, wobble. Just don't let go. Inside the store, people had stopped. No one was checking out or bagging groceries or moving. They were watching this tall, fair-haired, California-looking guy in a suit, getting hammered by rain and staggering back and forth, wrestling with a giant purple foot. He disappeared out of view for a moment, then reappeared and heaved off in the other direction. He was barely making progress towards the door. The whole show took maybe 4 minutes. Michael tottered into the store through the automatic doors and just stood there for a second, catching his breath. He was leaking water onto the floor like a broken barrel. He looked up. The whole store, the shoppers, the clerks, the bag boys, the kid who'd been pushing carts stared at him wide-eyed. No one moved, just people staring. Michael stared back, dazed and dripping. That was the only sound, the dripping. No cash registers, no rustling, no chatter, just drip, drip, drip. Above them, out of the ceiling, that supermarket mechanical voice broke in.
Wet mop, up front.
A few seconds later, the store manager, a tall man with a southern gentleman's manner, walked up to Michael.
Son, I know you have something to sell me, and I know you want to sell it real bad.
Yes, sir, I do.
That is every entrepreneur's journey along the way. How often, Nice Guy community, do you put yourself in a situation where you're trying so hard and you just seem like you're taking 1 foot forward and 17 steps backward? And how many of those did you have to go through, Michael and Bonnie, in building Barefoot Wine?
There's not enough fingers and toes.
Not enough pages in the book.
Well, this whole idea is just such a unique, creative, wonderful idea. And when you combine that with the knowledge and experience of a successful business, and you combine that with you didn't just go through this from 0 to 100 and get there without those thunderstorm moments that were in your life. And Nice Guy community, as you're listening to this, think about the thunderstorm moments in your life and the moments that you fell in love with your product, but your buyer didn't, or the moment that you came up with that idea on that napkin or that chalkboard in which Michael and Bonnie showed in those 3 excerpts that we've played. I would highly encourage you to look at this a little bit closer for something that you have put together, whether it's your own book. The thought of putting together a book, now that's probably a valid question. If they haven't put together a book yet, but they want to start to put together a book, is your advice put the book together first and then we'll come back and put the theater version together? Or is it we can create this all at the same time, do you think?
Actually, of course, it's going to take more work to put the book together. But if it's originally put together with the idea that it's going to be an audio book, that's going to be the end result, we're going to put it together in a much different way. And yes, we can help you. We can help you put your ideas, put your dreams, put your story into this audio format so we can tell stories that you have in a way that people will listen to, people will remember, and people will really get a lot out of it, a lot more than just in the printed word. You can see that. You put yourself in that thunderstorm. I think your audience did too. It's a real experience.
Michael, how do you feel about where you're heading with this business in the shadow of all of these amazing things that you and Bonnie have been able to accomplish over the decades that you've accomplished it? It's so great to see it in this light, to see both of you in this light. How do you feel about it? I mean, where does it hit you? Does it hit you in your heart? Does it hit you in your brain? Where is it for you?
Well, it's for me, it definitely hits me in the heart. I'm very excited about it. Bonnie and I have gotten so much positive feedback from people in the book industry, in the podcasting industry, in the radio industry. So we feel very confident that we've hit on something here that is the next generation of audiobook. I mean, yes, it's more expensive and you've got to spend more time producing it. But think about it this way. You're creating a legacy. even if you own a business, wouldn't it be nice to give your salesperson, your business bio to listen to a little snippet every day as he goes to his calls? So, doesn't he make more sales if he knows more about your business? Isn't there less turnover in your business if your people have more respect and appreciation for what you went through?
Yeah.
So that's what really excites me, is the fact that not only are we leaving something on the planet that's fun and educational, but we're giving others an opportunity to do the same thing.
I love the fact that you brought this to a podcast tour, for example, to promote this business. And I'm a podcasting hammer, so everything looks like a podcast production nail to me. I see as a huge business development tool an opportunity where you can actually create and build a podcast where the folks that are coming on as your guests or potential customers of yours, they've written the book, and now your job as host and hostess is to put them into this business audio theater platform with their book. I'm stuck on the name of the podcast right now, but something like Business Audio Theater Podcast would be a good way to go.
Well, our friend Dave Wolf added one word to that. He said it's Business Audio Theater Playhouse.
Ah, that's good. Good.
So because Playhouse really communicates the fact that it's a play.
Right. Right.
So we're excited about where this can go. It's much bigger than just the Barefoot Spirit, but we obviously have to prove that it sells and that it's popular, so we can take it to the next stage, which is to get others to do it. And then we have to create the podcast platform that allows people to tune in and listen to whatever business bio they want to, produced by these great actors and actresses.
That sounds like a great idea. Definitely a network in the brewing. I sense it coming, and a way to sell it and a way to really promote it is through the medium that you're already using, which is audio, which is terrific. So Michael and Bonnie, again, I so appreciate you coming on the show. And Nice Guy community, if you want to get more information and go ahead and buy the book, just go ahead and click the link in the show notes. It'll give you the 20% discount off the Barefoot Spirit in this business audio theater playhouse mode, and you'll be able to check it out there. Final words of wisdom. I'd love to get a wrap up from both you and Bonnie, Michael. So do you want to share some words of wisdom that you can impart to our entrepreneurs that are in our community, whether it's business audio theater playhouse related or not? Just some advice from somebody that has been there, seen it, done it, and has all the battle scars to prove, to show for it as well.
Well, one of the things that I'm really proud of is actually being successful when we started with what is seen as a real handicap, which is no money and no knowledge of our industry.
True.
Okay. These turned out to be our greatest assets. If we'd had knowledge, we would have followed what other people had done. And if we had money, we would have thrown money at all the problems, including paid advertising. But we succeeded as growing to one of the fastest growing wine brands in the nation without paid advertising.
Amen.
So that is a lot of lessons that we learned from the beginning in the laundry room to the boardroom of the largest winery in the world, which was our acquirers, E&J Gallo.
Wow.
So if you're starting off with no money and no knowledge of your industry, hey, you've got the keys for success right there.
It's so amazing that you say that, because it's so true. As we got into the podcasting space, we had never even listened to, aside from one podcast, I had never even listened to a podcast. And here we are 1,000 episodes later and making a very good living from it. And it is amazing if you don't follow the paths. You don't know what to expect. So it's like anything. It's wide-eyed glory. Every day I wake up, I'm like, I don't know what to expect. So I'm just going to enjoy this ride.
Exactly. Ignorance is bliss, Doug.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm very blissful. I must say that. And how about for you, Michael? What words of wisdom can you impart?
I just want to say that Doug Sandler was our guest up here in the wine country, and he's being very modest. We actually bounced a lot of these ideas off Doug, and he's the guy who put us on the track of promoting this through podcasting. And I just want to take this opportunity to recognize Doug for his insight about the direction that audio is going and encouraging us to use it as a platform. We are actually going to be on 50 podcasts in the next 90 days.
That's great. That's great. And if it's up to me, I'm going to put you on a few more than that, because I have a handful that I was writing down as I was listening to the audio clips of that I'm going to make sure that you get introduced to. So thank you, Michael and Bonnie, so very much for being on the show again today.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Doug.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the value of nice. Again, special thanks to Michael Houlihan and Bonnie Harvey for being on the show. All of the information, including access to their book and a discount, will be right there in the show notes. Just click the link in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Thanks for listening. Bartender, Doug here's going to have a Cosmo, and Strickland is going to have a Fireball on the rocks. Not the little glass. Yeah, the big one, the 24-ouncer. Oh, and they'd both like a little umbrella. Just give me the bottle and charge them as much as you can.